The stone wharf of Kilwa blisters under a merciless July sun. Salt and cardamom hang thick in the air. Around Amani ibn Suleiman, merchants from Hormuz, Gujarat, and the Somali coast press forward, their voices a rising tide of competing hunger. He holds in his fist three things: a leather pouch of saved dirhams, a debt note bearing his brother's reluctant seal, and a pair of silver bangles that once graced his mother's wrists, warm still, it seems, with her memory. The auctioneer's chant quickens. Ethiopian gold dust, sealed in oxhide pouches, gleams dully in its crates. Bolts of Kilwa cloth, indigo-dyed and impossibly fine, catch the ocean breeze. Amani raises his hand one final time, staking everything a modest man can stake. The gavel falls. What he cannot yet know is that someone in this crowd has already decided he will never reach the Gulf. On the sunlit quay, where the smell of salt and frankincense hangs thick in the humid air, a man watches. Rashid al-Mansuri of Oman stands apart from the heaving labor of the dock, his white kanzu immaculate, his expression carved from the same coral stone that built this city. His eyes track every bale of Kilwa cloth, every leather pouch of Ethiopian gold as it disappears into the belly of Amani's dhow. He has held the Hormuz route for 11 years. He does not intend to surrender it to a modest man with an ambitious vessel. A word is spoken, low, unhurried, into the ear of a hired dockhand. The man nods once and slips away into the crowd. The monsoon wind is already turning. Before it carries Amani outward, something far older and colder than any storm is already moving against him. Before the call to Fajr prayer fades from Kilwa's coral minarets, the Bahari Ya Imani slips her moorings and leans into the dark. The northeast monsoon, the Kaskazi, fills her lateen sail with the cold certainty of a wind that has carried men to fortune and ruin for 500 years. Amani stands at the stern, his hands reading the tiller's pulse like scripture. Behind him, the city retreats, its whitewashed walls, its sultan's palace, its debts. Before him, nothing but the phosphorescent churn of the Swahili sea and the faint stars of the Southern Cross dissolving into dawn. The Ethiopian gold sits wrapped in oiled cloth below deck. The 7 men at the ropes are quiet, reverent. This is the moment between worlds. And somewhere beyond the horizon, something is already moving against him. 3 days out from Kilwa, with the northeast monsoon filling the lateen sail and the Somali coast dissolving behind them, Amani ibn Suleiman opens the first of the cargo bales. The smell reaches him before the sight does. Brine, rot, the sharp salt stench of ruin. The Kilwa cloth, painstakingly woven and worth a merchant's prayer, crumbles between his fingers like wet ash. Then the gold pouches. He cuts one open. Sand. Fine, contemptible, worthless sand. The Indian Ocean stretches merciless in every direction. 8 men behind him expecting silver. Creditors waiting in Hormuz, and nothing beneath his feet but planks and debt. Amani stands at the prow, the wind indifferent to his devastation. In this moment, the sea that gave him everything has taken it back. But the voyage is not yet over, and neither, it seems, is Rashid. The Arabian Sea offers no mercy to men of modest prayers. For 2 days and 2 nights, the squall tears at Amani's dhow like a living thing, salt water swallowing the deck, coconut fiber rigging shrieking in registers no human throat could reach. Two men, brothers from Mombasa, are simply gone. There is no moment of loss, only the terrible arithmetic of the sea. The mast cracks at its base with a sound like bone. Amani lashes himself to the tiller with his own belt, his hands raw, his lips cracked white with brine, reciting the 99 names of God into the howling dark. Not as petition, but as something closer to defiance. He will not let go. The gold holds fast in its lashed chest below. And when the storm finally exhausts itself, what it leaves behind is something far more dangerous than wreckage. A man with nothing left to lose. Kalhat receives him like a wound receiving salt. Painful, but necessary. The dhow limps into the harbor on a broken spar, and a crew's exhausted silence, her hold stinking of seawater and ruined cloth. Amani has nothing to offer, but the hollow dignity of a man who has not yet surrendered. And yet Miriam, a harbor widow with calloused hands and a son too young to know caution, brings flat bread and salted fish without a word of price, without a ledger, without the careful arithmetic of obligation. The lantern light catches the steam rising from the bowls. His men eat with their eyes cast down, ashamed of their hunger. Something ancient and inconvenient stirs in Amani's chest, a feeling he had long mistaken for weakness. Trust, it turns out, arrives in the most dangerous harbors first. The salt is still drying in the dockhand's beard when the words begin to fall from him. Slowly at first, then all at once, like a dhow losing its rigging in a gale. His hands, calloused from a lifetime of rope and timber, cannot stop trembling. He kneels on the coralstone quay of Kilwa, the Indian Ocean heaving indifferently behind him, and names the man who paid him. Rashid al-Masri. The confession hangs in the humid air between them, heavy as monsoon cloud. Amani listens without moving, his jaw set, his eyes carrying the particular stillness of a man measuring the distance between justice and ruin. The merchants' council chambers await. But a blade, Amani knows, is considerably faster than any council, and the night in Kilwa is young. Hormuz shimmers in the Persian summer heat, a city drunk on pepper and ambition, where every handshake conceals a ledger. Amani arrives with empty hands and a mind full of coastlines no Persian merchant has ever charted. In a vaulted caravanserai perfumed with cardamom and lamp oil, he lays his only treasure on the table. Knowledge. The hidden anchorages of the southern Swahili coast. The seasonal rhythms of winds that could shave weeks from a voyage. He speaks slowly, deliberately, watching a wealthy merchant's eyes sharpen with the particular hunger of a man who profits from secrets. Ink meets parchment. A seal is pressed. Amani walks out carrying borrowed goods and borrowed hope, his name now pledged as bond against an ocean he must cross again, and what awaits him on those familiar waters may no longer be familiar at all. The dhow rounds the headland at first light, her lateen sail taut with the returning northeast monsoon, her hull riding low and heavy with Persian glassware wrapped in date palm fiber and Omani silver stacked in cedar chests. Kilwa's coralstone towers catch the dawn in shades of amber and salt white. On the quayside, fishermen pause their mending. Women balance clay water jars and stop to watch. Amani ibn Suleiman stands at the prow, sun-darkened, leaner, bearing the silence of a man who has crossed something far wider than water. Tucked against his chest, a dockhand's sworn confession, ink pressed into vellum, and a letter of credit bearing a Persian seal. Somewhere above the harbor, behind latticed windows, Rashid watches the familiar sail and feels the ground shift beneath a prosperous man's feet. The reckoning does not hurry. It does not need to. The Merchant Council of Kilwa renders its verdict in the shadow of the great mosque, beneath coral archways worn smooth by salt wind and centuries. Rashid ibn Farouk walks out diminished, his license revoked, his reputation scattered like dhow timber on a hostile shore. And Amani receives what the sea, in its indifferent justice, has returned to him: the debt settled, the gold weighed, the ledger closed. Yet he does not raise his hands in triumph. He stands alone at the seawall as the Kaskazi wind stirs the dhow sails into restless conversation, watching the Indian Ocean catch the last copper light of evening. He understands now what no voyage could have taught him at its outset: that the Monsoon owes no man passage, no man profit, no man his pride. It gives, it takes, and it remembers nothing.